Well, good morning and good evening or good day wherever you are. I am Dr. Paulina author of Regala Healing, an evocative approach for self care, self understanding, and inner healing. I host this show, The Poetry of Healing, and I want to welcome you from all over the world. So we'd love to know where you're joining from. So please put it in the chat if you might. September is a very special month because it marked 1 year that my first book, Regala Healing, was released. And it's been a tremendous year of unexpected blessings for all who have been touched by reading or listening to the healing poems in my book. I added this show today to share more of my poems. Therefore, the format of today's program will be a bit different than you're used to. That is, I will read several poems and talk about what was going on at the time and how it might relate to my life and perhaps yours. And as you know, we all are connected. We share our humanness and we have the foundation of love. During last week's show titled Healing Micro Practices, I described the micro practices I use to increase my self love, my self care, and ultimately open my heart for healing, which allowed these poems to come to my awareness, and I wrote them down. I encourage you to review that broadcast so you can understand the beginning of this work in my healing journey. We will end with a meditation, which today are affirmations designed to support your healing journey. As we begin, I invite you to participate in a centering exercise. It is to help us focus and collect our energy for this time we have together. It also prepares us for healing and developing a deep love for ourselves and others. This is a time for you, a gift to yourself. So let's take a moment and just settle into whatever space you're in so you can be fully present. And we're going to do our practice heart math focused breathing to open our hearts. And so many of you are familiar with this practice, and we use it just to make sure that our whole essence is present during this special time. So you may be sitting, standing, laying down, and invite you to just lower your gaze or close your eyes or just focus on a stationary object with a very soft gaze. And I will guide you to connect with your heart by doing heart-focused breathing. And so let's just practice breathing a bit because it's a little different. So you're going to breathe slowly through your nose, and then you're going to breathe out through your nose. So in through your nose and out through your nose. Okay? And let's start the practice of heart math focused breathing. So imagine that your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or left chest area. And you're breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. So you might want to count to 4, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 as you breathe in. And as you breathe in, you're imagining your heart getting bigger with each inhale. And then you breathe out at the count of 4 or 5 or longer, depending on what's comfortable for you. And then imagine your heart getting smaller. So it's actually taking the breath for you. So let's try it. So breathe in through your nose and imagine that beautiful heart getting bigger and bigger. Take a deepest breath you can. Okay, and then let it out. And watch your heart get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So do it on your own. But remember, breathe in slowly and out slowly. So taking your own breaths at your own pace, just breathe into that beautiful heart of yours so you can open it up. Yeah, good. Okay, so I'm going to guide you again in the breath. As a community of healing, we're going to take a breath. So take a deep breath in to notice you are here. Take a deep breath in to notice how that beautiful body of yours feels. And now take a deep breath in to enter this session. Okay. And for those viewers who are just joined us, I am Dr. Paulina Van, the author of Regala Healing and the host of this show, The Poetry of Healing. And today's show is an additional live show, and I'll be reading a few poems from my book, Regala Healing, and hoping on this day, the Anaphoras included in my poems will soothe and relax you. Lastly, before I continue, today in the United States of America, there are numerous services in recognition of the tragic loss of thousands of lives on September the 11th, 2001. And so I ask, as we open and care for our hearts, we send love to those families. Okay. So let's begin. I always like to begin by, or continue by describing the terms that I'm using so that we're all on the same page. So, anaphora, and that's Anphora. An anaphora is the deliberate repetition of words or phrases at the beginning of successive clauses for an artistic effect. So this literary device is often seen in poetic works, in speeches, and in children's books that have a rhyming element. So what's the purpose or the purposes of anaphoras? Writers use anaphoras for many purposes, and that includes to emphasize their message, to make their words more memorable. Repetition of words affects a rhythm. So a rhythm starts, which can evoke mood and keep the writing emotionally rich. So the reader can understand what the writer is feeling. These emotions transform a story from just words on a page to a reader experience. And so in this case today, this purposeful recognition or repetition that you will recognize, you'll hear as I read my poems, will transform my spoken words into your personal listener experience. Okay? And so I'm going to begin. I've chosen about a half dozen poems from my book, Regala Healing, to read to you today. And it is my hope that, and I've been told by readers, that reading my words transports them to their own experience. So I'm hoping that this will happen for you, but don't force it. I just like you to relax wherever you are and just listen. And if something resonates with you and you want to put it in the chat, feel free to. I'll look at the chat after the show. So the first poem and the poems that I will read for you came to my awareness after I opened my heart, came to my awareness the spring of 2020. So you know that we were in the very early stages of the COVID and especially the lockdown. So I want to begin with a poem that came to me on day 35 of the stay-at-home order in the United States of COVID-19. And, I was thinking about myself or my loved ones being immobilized to save our lives. And in the midst of that, thinking, I realize I am free in so many ways: free to think, free to eat, free to love, free to be loved, free to learn, free to earn, free to worship, and free just to be. And so this is the poem that came to me, and it's entitled I Am Free. And if you have the book, it's on page 9 of the physical book. And it goes, I am free to be. I am free as I am me. I am free like a dove in flight. I'm free to flee the fight. I am free with love so deep. I am free and no longer weep. I am free as this is my destiny. The journey is sweet. I am forever free. So I'd just like you to think about, what does free look like, feel like to you? And what are you free of? Okay? And so you might want to jot it down. And if you feel comfortable, you can put it in the chat. Okay. The next one was a day that 4 of these poems came to me. And they were all quite uplifting and my heart was so big by the end of the day. And so the one I'm going to read for you now, it's entitled One Day. Okay. One day I decided to change. One day it was no longer strange. One day my mind said go. One day my heart said it was so. One day I looked within. One day I saw I could win. So I'd like you to just absorb those words. And what in your life are you winning at? What in your life do you want to win at? What in your life is just winning? Okay? All right. The next one, let's see. Okay. So this next one was written, and I forgot to tell you, those who have the book, it's on page 25 in the physical book. Okay. So the next one was written on a day when 8 of these poems came to my awareness. So you can imagine that I was pretty busy paying attention to the words that were coming to me. And sometimes I can hear them being spoken to me. And it's starting to feel pretty special. This was the 55th one that came to me. And, and I said, I write reflective notes after each one comes to me. And I wrote, this feels very special. And I'm cherishing this gift. So I really feel it's a gift. So this one's entitled, It's Special. It's special to look within. It's special to see where I've been. It's special as I transform. It's special I'm reborn. It's special my mystic mind. It's special my heart so kind. It's special hearing the words it brings. It's special when my soul sings. So think about it. What's special in your life? What makes your spirit uplifted? What makes your soul sing? Okay. The next one I'm going to share, it's pretty self-explanatory. And interestingly enough, I didn't write a reflective note after this one. And so this one, though, when I do live readings and I read this is the one that I get the most questions about and the most responses about. So this one is entitled Being Vulnerable. Being vulnerable is frightening. Being vulnerable is enlightening. Being vulnerable draws others near. Being vulnerable creates fear. Being vulnerable transforms my thinking. Being vulnerable gives me an inkling. Being vulnerable is living. Being vulnerable creates giving. Being vulnerable is churning within. Being vulnerable is how I win. You know, being vulnerable is scary. Yet, life can be scary and there's ups and downs, but think about your vulnerability. Are you being vulnerable with the people that it matters the most with? Are you being vulnerable with yourself? Jot down a few notes. Okay. The next this was written on a couple of days after Mother's Day. And that's the only note I wrote. So here we go. It's special was on page 55, and being vulnerable is on, being vulnerable is on page 71 in the physical book. And this one is on page 84 in the physical book, and it's called I Feel Better. I feel better when I rest. I feel better when I eat less. I feel better when I speak my mind. I feel better when I am kind. I feel better when I care. I feel better blowing off fear. I feel better sharing a smile. I feel better going the extra mile. I feel better during social time. I feel better without wine. I feel better loving and giving. I feel better forgiving. I feel better as the sun shines. I feel better when I quiet my mind. So when do you feel better? Any of those things I spoke about? Reflect on it and do more of it so you can feel better. The next one that I'm going to read, I hope you guys are staying with me and everything is okay. The next one is an unpublished poem. And it came to me last year, and it will appear in my second book. And those of you who know my story will understand this poem, but I think those of you who've had a similar experience as me will be able to resonate with this and know my story. It's called My Mother Loves Me. Just a backdrop, my mother passed away in 1997. Okay, so she's been gone quite a few years. My mother loved me. In a dream, I was told. My mother loved me. I'm never too old. My mother loved me in her own silent way. My mother loved me. She just could not say. My mother loved me. She forced my faith. My mother loved me. And now I'm 68. My mother loved me in a way that hurt. My mother loved me. I could not hold on to her skirt. My mother loved me, and in that dream, she bounced me up and down on her lap. She made me giggle, and she even smiled. That's how I know my mother loves me. And so there may be people in your life that don't show love the same way that you do, or the same way that you could recognize it. But my mother came to me in a dream, and now I really know she loved me, and she still loves me. Think about that and the people in your life. There's one other one that I like to read, and let me just make sure I go to the right page. So it's on page 23 in the physical book, and after I read this one, then we'll do a meditation. So this one, again, it was written on that day where 4 came to me in the spring of 2020 during the pandemic. And it's titled, It's Amazing. It's amazing to be filled with grace. It's amazing to have won the race. It's amazing the flow of my life. It's amazing I've lost the strife. It's amazing how bright is my aura, radiating from my soul, letting me know I am amazing. And so I'm here today to tell you, each one of you, that you are amazing. Okay? You're wonderfully made, wonderfully created. And so as we near closing, for our meditation, I'd like to take you through this meditation exercise, and not to worry if you have not done affirmations before. I'm going to guide you. And I have 7 affirmations, and I'm going to say them out loud. And then you can repeat them mentally, or you can say it out loud if you're somewhere where you can do that. Or if there are people with you, you can say it together, because words have energy. And these are nurturing and soothing and self-affirming words. So here we go. Okay. And I'd just like you to just take a nice deep breath in and out. Okay. Focus. You might want to close your eyes while you do this as well. There's something about closing your eyes and listening to words that it's just powerful. So here we go. And remember, there are 7 of them. Okay. So I am enough. I believe in my dreams, myself, and all that I am. So I believe in my dreams, myself, and all that I am. I love myself for who I am. I love myself for who I am. I create my own happiness. I create my own happiness. My life is filled with abundance of goodness. My life is filled with abundance of goodness. My challenges are actually opportunities. My challenges are actually opportunities. And the last one is, I am beautiful just the way I am. Or I am handsome just the way I am. Okay, I'd like you to breathe those in. And in closing, I have found several resources. The affirmations came from Peace and Pure online, but I'm happy to drop them in the comment section after the show. And then this was a special show. This is the second Sunday of the month, and I'm usually here the first and the third. But as I mentioned, it's a special month and celebrating Regala Healing's 1 year birthday because my book was released a year ago. So I ask you to please join me every first and third Sundays at 9 a.m. right here on blackdoctor.org. If this show has been helpful to you, please like and share this program. Leave comments because I do read and I will respond to them. You can visit regalahealing.com to learn more about my resources. This show is also on my podcast channel, and it's called The Poetry of Healing. And you can find it on Apple and Google and iHeart and Spotify. So if you're a listener, if you wanted to listen to it again, please do that. And I just want to thank you for joining me today. And as always, I'm leaving you with love and light. Until we see each other again, thank you for joining.